right, Genestealer Cultists, part 3. All right, this was a cool one today. Just gonna say, this is part 3 of my review. They've done what is it now, 4 or 5 articles about the Genestealer Cult on GW's website, and this is part 3 of the video. There was a couple that I felt didn't deserve their own videos, but this one deserves a video of its own. So if you haven't checked out parts 1 and 2, I ask that you go check that out. If you're starting here, you can just kind of jump in and then maybe go back and watch part 1 and 2 after that. I'll be referencing some things, but you may perhaps may not be necessary, but that's up to you. So part 3. So today, oh man, they revealed some cool stuff today. The Genestealer cults and their gene sects are sects, by the way, S-E-C-T-S. Boy, that's going to get people. But that's the thing with the Genestealer cult army. I guess they decided to make everything as hard to pronounce as possible. So, anyways, these are our chapter tactics. Something that I was actually a little bit nervous about us not getting, because if you look through the index, it seemed that GW had planned out the releases very far in advance and how the whole faction thing would work. And Genestealer cults did not have keywords with the brackets that could be swapped out. They were just plain old Genestealer cults. So this is a wonderful surprise. I mean, it's something we've known for a couple weeks now, and especially a couple days because of rules we've seen. But it is still wonderful to see these, and let's just jump into it. First one, Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor. These are your super ambushy guys. They get, at the end of the first battle round, you add 1 to advance and charge rolls for units that with this cult creed. So this is a 2-parter, and then starting from second round onward, if a unit is set up on the battlefield, then until the end of the turn, add 1 to the advance and charge rolls. This is a cool one. Keep in mind, though, that unless you are deploying via cold ambush or through the drill, which lets you take things off the table and then set them back up, and I'm guessing, also thinking from this description, if they come out of a transport, that might be FAQ to not be the case, but just from the wording here, seems that that's possible. That's the only time they're getting a bonus. Every other time, there's no bonus. Either your first battle round, or you're coming out of ambush or out of a transport, or something like that. So keep that in mind. However, that is a really cool one to combine this with the Clamavis, where he gives you an additional +1 to, I think it's advance and charge. It might just be charge, but it definitely gives you a charge bonus, so now you're at +2 to your charge. And if you are doing the cold ambush, you're 9 inches away. From being underground, you're 9 inches away, so now you have a 7-inch charge. Plus all the other bonuses we potentially have from the Vigilus and the rerolls and bonuses. Yeah, very good at getting our units in there and getting them charging. By the way, they use the word troglodyte in his description. Top use of the word troglodyte. Wonderful. So it may not be, it's like, okay, cool, but we might see this gene cult in every list because they have their own version of the Agents of Ect. Take that how you will. Now, I've played against Dark Eldar quite a bit. I do not feel this is the as powerful thing as people make it out to be online. I've never faced it once, and I've played Dark Eldar maybe nearing a dozen times since their book came out. So, and I've never had it done to me once. They're off doing their other things, and to spend 3 CP to potentially negate your opponent's stratagem, I think is it's a cool idea. If there's something really bad happening, it's a good emergency. Hit the red button to be like, no, let's not do that. But the fact that on a 1, you just spend 3 CP and nothing's happened. If you roll the dice, 2 through 5, you've spent it, but they still have their command points. And on the 6, this is kind of where the most value comes out of this thing, where you spend your 3 CP, they spend their CP, however much that is, and their stratagem is also stopped, but that's 1 in 6 times. So you also have the same amount of chances of not doing anything and spending 3 CP for no reason. So I mean, we'll see. They did thankfully fix this one compared to the Agents of Ect. It's already got that. It has to have the Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor units on the battlefield. And so you can't, and you also can't use it before the battle or during deployment. So that was probably wouldn't be most useful, but that'd be super broken if you could spend it there. It's good. I would not panic. Don't panic. I think the other cults also have really good rules, just base rules. So it may not make this as necessary as people maybe are worried that it is. And here's a picture of a four-armed emperor guy, looking really good. And then we move on to the Twisted Helix. So this is the second one. You add 1 to the strength characteristic models of this cult. In addition, add 2 to the advanced rolls for a unit with this cult creed. Okay. There is a rumor, I heard, that Genestealers, the pure strains, will not have the cult bracket keyword. I'll believe it when I see it. I think that'd be weird because pure strains have the exact same keywords in the Gene Cult book, with the index, as all the other Gene Cults do. So it'd be interesting if it wasn't, but I'm just going to assume it is because imagining Strength 5 Genestealers with +2 to their advance is just too good to pass up. That sounds awesome because they can just charge in advance anyway, so have an additional 2 inches to your advance rolls. Why not? In addition to this, I mean, the +1 strength just gets out of this world when it comes to folks like this, the Abominant and his friends, Aberrants, with their hammers. Oh, man. Knights are going to start sweating. You get the strength bonuses high enough, you might be wounding knights on 2s with hammers. It is possible, which is crazy. So, but just even 1 strength on low-level guys like they mentioned here, acolytes, with their own saws and their own close combat weapons. It's good. It's good. Add to that, they have the relic here for the Twisted Helix, which gives a model increased attacks, toughness, and wounds by 1. Mega Patriarch, anybody? I'm feeling it. That bonus is pretty crazy again. Add to that there's already +1 strength from the cult. So really, imagine, a Patriarch's strength 5. So now it's going to be strength 6, toughness 6. What is that? 7 wounds. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I foolishly didn't grab the index, but you guys get what I mean. It makes the Patriarch like this monstrous beast. And he might get a points drop. We'll see. He might be something more similar to the Broodlord in Tyranid book. I would hope so. They also mentioned the Might from Beyond. It's a spell that we do still currently have, but it does have a bit of an updated text. Its cost is the same. It just now affects Gene Cult's infantry, which it did before, but also bikers. That makes sense. But it adds another strength and another attack, so you get the idea. You can stack this with the double helix trait on Aberrants, and all of a sudden now they are strength 6 base. No, strength 7 base. So now they're wounding most vehicles and lighter knights on 2s with their hammers. And with 2 extra attacks each, so very good. Can't complain about that. And there's the picture of the double helix guy. It seems a little bit more neon-y than, I don't know, but it does. I think these guys are the ones that are the biological editor mad scientist types, it sounds like. So maybe they're on a very sciencey world, and hence the very bioluminescent armor. I get it. I like it now. Then we get to the Pauper Princes. These are the guys in the Vigilus Warzone, as they point out up here. These guys get to reroll hit rolls for attacks made with their melee weapons when they charge, were charged, or perform a heroic intervention. This is also pretty good. The only thing I think is there's a lot of bonuses I've seen to get into plus to hit. So if it was a reroll to wound, I think that would have been insane. But it's reroll to hit, which is still really good. You can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with that. Keep in mind also they went into more detail with these next few cults. They're just going to kind of blaze through, so we'll blaze through that as well. Nice little inclusion of the new model coming out Saturday. 2 more days. It can't come fast enough. But he looks good. The red looks good. I like it. The Hive Cult. Disciplined militants. These guys, if a unit with the cult fails morale test, you have the models fleeing. Excellent. We have high leadership anyway, so you're going to have low numbers anyway, so trying to reduce down to one or, well, just at this point, one guy running is always a good thing. In addition, units with this cult can still shoot in a turn which they fall back, but if they do, they must subtract 1 from their hit rolls in the shooting phase of that turn. Okay. I think this is really good. Yes, it's a -1 to hit, but that's especially the Ultramarine one, right? I haven't faced Ultramarines in a while. But that's essentially the Ultramarine trait. And just coming from experience from my Tyranids, any trait that gives you additional options or the ability to ignore certain rules is hyper powerful. I'm thinking of the Kraken in this case, where the rule is normally when you fall back, you can't charge. Well, Kraken's like, yeah, you can charge. So, and that just opens up a ton of tactical possibilities. This is one of those. I feel the ability to fall back and shoot, yes, even at a limited capacity, is still very powerful. And keep in mind that there are flamers in Genestealer Cult armies, so you'll still be able to fall back and flamer just as effectively. So I think this is a really good one. We'll have to see what its relics and other stuff does, but I like this trait. I like it a lot. And I like the look of them. The tan looks very militaristic. It's like camouflage. It looks good. Then you have the bladed cog. These are the yes, these are the AdMech guys. Now these guys could be interesting. There's been no mention so far, but months back, when the Kill Team boxes were starting to come out, they mentioned the bladed cog with the Genestealer Cult release, and they mentioned that they could ally with Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, will that translate into the Codex, where if you take the bladed cog, your Brood Brothers, with instead of being Astra Militarum, are the Adeptus Mechanicus? Who knows? They didn't mention it, but it'd be cool. So let's talk about them themselves. The things we do know. They get a 6-up invul. All models with the Cult Creed. Supposedly tanks have the Cult Creed too, but we'll see. And models with this Cult Creed, if they already have an invul, increase it by 1. Again, if Genestealers are affected by these Cult Creeds, 4-up invuls anybody? I think additional charges is cooler. Just as a Kraken player myself versus a Jormungandr +1 to save for Genestealers, and then they can't advance. But anyways, so 4-up Genestealers, invul Genestealers, sounds good. In addition, infantry models with this creed do not suffer the penalty of their hit rolls for moving and shooting heavy weapons. So the idea of them slowly advancing. So you can get those heavy weapons in your big neophyte squads. I like it. Get mortars in the neophyte squads. They're running around, get missile launchers, whatever else you want. I'm liking it a lot. Well, I guess that would be the Astra Militarum, but we'll see side of things. But you get the heavy mining laser or the sonic cannon and all that, seismic cannon and all that good stuff. There's the picture of this guys. I like the little purple tattooing. Maybe that's skin color. Who knows? It looks like maybe they're an offshoot of Leviathan if they got the purple going on. But they look good. Then we have the Rusted Claw. Nomadic Survivalists. So I'm guessing the idea of these guys is that they're more nomadic on their world, but it makes sense with their rules. When making save throws, excluding invulnerable saves, for a model with this cheat code, add 1 to the result of the weapon being used to make the attack as an armor penetration characteristic of a 0 or 1. Okay. We'll have to double check, but I mean, most things that are like the infantry size, like our heroes and the neophytes and the acolytes have 5-up saves, so this would effectively give them a 4-up save against most weapons, and then their regular 5-up save on a few weapons that are -1 to hit, or -1 AP. So, yeah, that's pretty good. In addition, biker models with this Cult Creed do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for moving and shooting heavy weapons, or for advancing and shooting assault weapons. Okay, so if you're planning to run tons of the new Adelan bikes, these are your guys. running around without a care in the world for -1 to hit. This kind of proves to me that they don't have that innately, so using bikes in the other cults might be a little less effective, but it looks like if you're just going all bike crazy, these are your guys. But that additional 1 to the armor, ooh, that'll be interesting. And like I kind of talked about with the invul saves with the bladed cog, if the tanks get this, 2 up armor save, Lehman Russes, anybody? Yes, please. That ignore more or less 0 and -1 AP. Mm-hmm. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. And then there's the picture of that guy with the demo charges looking to blow something up. Oh, and here it is. The moment people have been waiting for. The Brood Brothers. So, they read some of the sentence here. So next up, let's take a quick look at another subfaction within the army. The neophyte regiments of the Genestealer Cult, otherwise known as Brood Brothers. These units are drawn from the cult's followers that have infiltrated the ranks of this world's planetary defense force, or Astra Militarum regiments. The most common of them form a direct part of the Genestealer Cult's army, complete with their own data sheets. Brood Brothers infantry, heavy weapon squads, cult sentinels, and cult armored sentinels, cult chimeras, and cult Lehman Russes. So these are the in-codex entries. We've gained one. We gained the heavy weapon squads. Awesome. The heavy weapon slot was kind of really rich in the Genestealer book, the index, because you had the Rock Grinders, the Lehman Russes, and that was it for heavy support. Yeah, that was it. And and those were rich units. I mean, you had to pay quite a bit of points for them. And at the time, not very well supported. So that might change now, but now you have the cheap option for the heavy weapon squads. This will help if you want to do brigades with pure Genestealers. And then who knows what other heavies we might get in here. I think everything else I think of unit-wise is going to be fast attack or elite. So the addition of heavy weapon squads is a big deal. And really cool. I'm really glad to see that. Hopefully we'll get the heavy weapon team box with the included Genestealer Cult upgrade sprue, which they do for the pictured here Astra Militarum units with the sprue, because you see they got some bandanas in there and you can barely make out their little ridges. But now that there's heavy weapon squads, going back up very fast, bladed cog, anybody? With troops, teams of heavy weapon squads running around without a care in the world, firing off their missiles? Sounds good to me. So, cool. Brood Brothers units can also be drawn directly from the Astra Militarum faction, representing military assets that have been subverted by the cult. They form their own Brood Brothers detachment, one of which can even be included in the match play army for every Genestealer Cult's detachment. So the naysayers that were saying we're going to lose the Brood Brothers detachment, nope, they say it right there. It's right there. Plain words. It's a detachment of its own. You draw the units directly from the faction. So awesome. Instead of the cult creed that they share with their Genestealer Cult brethren, infantry units in the Brood Brothers detachment gain a bonus to their leadership as well as unquestioning loyalty ability. If you went back, that was the 4-up to shrug a wound from a hero to the unit. So Brood Brothers isn't going away. The Bane Blades aren't going away. The Basilisks aren't going away. The Wyverns aren't going away. Hooray! As it should be. I mean, I think it would be pretty scummy of GW to be like, oh yeah, you can take a detachment of Astra Militarum, and then the Codex comes out and they're like, no, you can't. And then it's like, well, now people would have armies sitting around and it's like, yeah, you could play Astra Militarum, but you bought them as Genestealer cultists, and so that would be pretty sour. So then they just talk about, at the end here, there's going to be a Genestealer Cult game tomorrow, February 1st at 6:15 p.m. That is England time. I myself being on Mountain time, that's going to be around 9 o'clock, I believe, or 9:15 looks like from this. So if you're Eastern Standard, that's going to be 7:15 in the morning. I don't know if I'll have a chance to watch it. Hopefully, I will. And then I can kind of give my thoughts on what I see and what I hear and everything else. But this is really cool. Just talking about the Brood Brothers real quick and their possibilities. You can get pretty high leadership on the infantry squads. This +1 innately, plus maybe a commissar running around. That's really good. Really good for screens, which I think Genestealer Cult don't need much anyway. But I mean, you can't have enough screens sometimes. You never know. But then I'm curious about the fact that they gain unquestioning loyalty. Now it does say the infantry unit, so don't think that you're going to have your tank jump in front of the Genestealer Cult, the patriarch or anything. It's the infantry. Bolgrins? Anyone? The bodyguards? As far as I know, that's still part of the Astra Militarum Codex, so they can be brought in all likelihood. But I was also wondering, would this allow them to jump in front of characters from the Brood Brothers detachment? I doubt it. I think what it's going to be is the fact that the unquestioning loyalty is going to be worded as Genestealer Cult character, and the Brood Brothers characters will not be Genestealer Cult characters. They'll be Brood Brothers characters. So we will double check that, but that'd be kind of a crazy idea because then you could get the tank commanders and have his infantry squad around him jump in front of him to protect his wounds, which would be insane. But I doubt that's going to happen. I doubt it. So really cool, really good preview. I like what I'm seeing here. It'll be really fun to see the additional stratagems and other things that each of these guys come with. We haven't seen many stratagems. Honestly, there's this one, that's the deny stratagem. There's the heal the character. There's the move out of call ambush. And I think there was one more, but that's not a lot out of the usual 20 pluses you get, so that'd be very interesting to see what we get. So thank you very much for watching. I think that's going to be the end of this one. I hope you enjoy. Let's see what potentially part 4 brings tomorrow. Tomorrow is my Warhammer night at the game store, so I'll probably do a video maybe Saturday morning. So I will potentially see you tomorrow night or Saturday. We'll see if the new preview comes out tomorrow, but if not, hopefully we'll all get a chance to see that new game with new rules and new things to see. So hope you're all having a great night. Keep going and infiltrating my Genestealer cultists. Jesse signing out.